making it out this morning and joining us for day 2 of the HBCU Data Science Consortium Inaugural Workshop. So we had a great conversation yesterday, a lot of good discussion, great presentations, opportunities for you to break out in the breakout rooms and have some great discussion. And we are planning to continue that momentum today. So I greet you on a Saturday, very cold Saturday morning here in Tallahassee. I know cold is relative, but we're all here and we're ready to go. So let me give you just an overview of what we are going to be doing today. As we mentioned before, we will be talking, we'll be hearing from Dr. Talitha Washington, who will be talking about the Atlanta University Center's Data Science Institute. For those of you who didn't get a chance to see her yesterday, she was on the conversations yesterday and kind of gave us a brief hello, but she's coming back today to give us some more information about what she's doing, as well as what the Atlanta University Center's Data Science Institute is all about and how you can get connected to that. So you're probably already aware of that institute, but if not, this would be a great opportunity for you to learn more about it. And as you can see, there are a lot of consortiums that are happening around the area of data science. So we're happy that you decided to participate with us this weekend and learn a little bit about ours. But we are going to be networking and collaborating with all of these groups. So our goal and I'll talk more about the goals and objectives of the program later on today. But what we want to do is not duplicate, but to help push out what some of these other programs are doing as well. So we will be advertising and networking their events and opportunities on our channels, and they will be doing the same with us. So we're operating under the mindset that, a rising tide raises all boats, right? So if we're all lifting each other up, then we're all pushing the area of data science, especially among underrepresented groups and HBCUs. So we are excited to be working with many of these groups that you all have heard about and will hear about throughout the remainder of our implementation this year and beyond that. So you will hear from Dr. Washington in a little bit. And then we will move into another breakout session. And yesterday, for those that were not present yesterday, the way we structured things was to allow you to move into breakout rooms and to talk about various topics. And the topics were themed around the panels that happened right before that breakout. So there was a breakout room where we discussed educational topics. There was a breakout room where we discussed research, and there was a breakout room where we discussed working with industry. And so today we will have our additional breakout. It's actually breakout number 3 or 4, where we are going to be talking about partnerships. So how can you better collaborate and partner with other HBCUs? And also, if you wish to collaborate with other schools, what are some of the challenges you're facing? What are some of the barriers to those partnerships? What are some of your experiences that you've already had if you've been able to implement some of these partnerships? And what types of topics or discussion points would you like to hear more about? Because as I mentioned yesterday in the opening of our session, these ideas that you all are going to present in these breakouts are going to help us seed our monthly speaker series. So we will have a monthly speaker series that will start in March and will run throughout the remainder of 2021, where we will have individuals, some of whom you've heard here at the workshop, and then other people who you haven't had a chance to hear from yet will be presenting to you for 45 minutes with a question and answer on various topics. So they may be talking about their research. They might talk about collaborative ideas. They may talk about funding possibilities. So that speaker series is going to be really, really exciting and engaging. And so we are soliciting from you what some of the topics are that you want to know about, because we're all, working on various components of the field of data science and business analytics, data analytics. We're all in these different areas. And we may have some of the same interests, but we might have some interests that are unique. And so those breakout rooms give us an opportunity to hear more from you so that we can populate the speaker series with topics that are of interest to you. So please make sure when you are in those breakout rooms that someone is recording so that and taking notes so that we can get some feedback from you after you finish the session. I mentioned yesterday that there's a community forum on the Hoover app where you can, called Share Your Moments, where you can post your comments about your experience as you participated in the workshop. But you can also use that to post your comments about the breakouts. So what you all discussed, what were things of interest, that sort of thing. So that will help us get a feel for what happened in those breakouts. So we're excited. We loved the way they went yesterday. We've gotten good feedback already on how those sessions went. So we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say today after you hear from our tremendous speaker in about 8 minutes. So in addition to that, we will then move into giving you some instructions about what the grant is all about and what our program is all about. So we'll give you an overview of the program. We'll also talk about the speaker series in a little bit more detail. And then we will also give you some introductory information about our mini grants. So as part of what we do, and I'm just going to briefly mention it, but Dr. Humphreys is going to talk more about it later. As part of what our program offers, we will be offering small mini grants to individuals that are interested in applying for those. And these can be used to form the seed funding for some idea or some initiative that you have of interest. So again, Dr. Humphreys will talk a lot more we'll talk a lot more about those efforts. So, and then we will talk more about some other next steps. So again, we'll be giving you some details of what will happen throughout the rest of the year as it relates to what we'll be doing. But, you all can feel free to collaborate and network amongst yourselves. So we are hoping that you have taken the time while you've been here to meet other individuals, exchange names. You can look on the list of attendees and see who is here and get their contact information. Feel free definitely to form little groups, working groups. We may look into trying to assist with that effort, but feel free to reach out amongst yourselves to form working groups or collaborative groups, discussion groups, if you have topics of interest. You can use the breakout rooms as a starting point for that, but you can also utilize the Hoover app to make those connections. So if you look on the community forums, there are places where you can indicate meetups where you like to meet up with people, and you can invite people to those meetups. So if you see 2 or 3 people that you'd love to talk to in a little bit more detail, you can connect with them in that form, or you can just send them a message through the app to let them know that you're interested in meeting and talking with them. So highly encouraged. I'm sort of roundabout answering the question that someone put in the Q&A. So yes, if you're interested in working meetings, if you want to utilize the breakout rooms to kind of start discussions of things when we get to the partnership breakout room, you can do that. We want those to be very open discussions for you all to share your ideas, share your plans, and brainstorm along with each other about ways in which you can do these things that you have as plans, research plans and research initiatives. So we will talk about that. We'll also talk about some of the other aspects of what we offer as a consortium as we move through that next steps section of the program. So that will start at about 12 o'clock today, and that will conclude what we're going to do for the entire workshop. So, please, if you're interested in some of these things, please try to stick around for those sessions. So hopefully I see the question that's in the Q&A. Hopefully I answered that. I kind of roundabout answered it while I was talking. So yeah, so hopefully you got an answer. But again, we will have more opportunities for discussions of things of of that format when we get to the 12 o'clock session. So please stick around so you can find out more about how we can network, how we can collaborate, how you can get some money, small little pocket change, but it's still some money that can help you start an initiative. It should be really informative for you. And so the last thing to mention today, before we get to our speaker, is again, evaluations. We are, of course, going to be evaluating what we do because, we want to make sure we are effective and efficient with what we do. So our evaluator is online. I didn't know if Dr. Beckles, if you wanted to say anything real quick about the evaluations before we move on.
Good morning, Dr. Black. And I'll just say a few words. Just once again, thank you for all of your efforts here. And at the end of the workshop, there's going to be a survey that we're going to ask you to fill out, and we want you to please conscientiously fill that out so that we can have accurate reporting when we report back to the agencies that are being generous with us and giving us these grants. So please put your effort. It just takes a little bit of effort, but try to be as accurate as you can within your surveys, and we'll use this as the data as we compile our reports as we go through this workshop. And that's it. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Okay, so we will make that survey link available at the end of the conference. If you can't stick around for the whole time, we will make sure that it is sent out as well. I know we have some people who might not be here today that were here yesterday. So we want to make sure that everyone gets access to that. So we will get it to you one way or another, but we'll post the link during that final session when we get to that point today. All right, so without any further ado, I am going to just give you some quick reminders with your microphones. And this is particularly when we get to the breakout session, because that's going to be open. Just make sure when you enter the room, that you turn your camera and your mic off so that you're not coming in, if someone else is already talking. During the speaker session, if you have a question, just a reminder to type your question in the chat or in the Q&A. Particularly Q&A is the place to put questions for the speaker. And if you want to just post comments, or you want to share your emails, or you want to share links or something of interest that might be relative to what the speaker is talking about, you can use the chat for that. But use the Q&A for the questions that you have. And our student volunteers will be reading those questions when we get to the question and answer section of the program. And then also, like I said a few minutes ago, make sure you utilize the forums on Whova so that you can share with each other and share with us your moments and your experiences, as well as any issues that may arise if you're having technical issues moving around from room to room and that sort of thing. But finally, you want to utilize those sessions to also, or those forums to also engage with each other. So very, very important to do that. Okay, so we are right on time, and I am going to stop talking in a few minutes, and I am going to introduce our keynote speaker for today, who is Dr. Talitha Washington. Dr. Washington is a very distinguished scholar, director of the Atlanta University Center Data Science Initiative. She's also professor of mathematics at Clark Atlanta University. And she's also an affiliate faculty member with Morehouse College, Morehouse School of Medicine, and Spelman College. She's also spent time at NSF as a program director. So she has a lot to tell us and some very exciting things to tell us. So without any further ado, I will stop sharing and turn the floor over to Dr. Washington.
Great, good morning. So it's great to be here with everybody today. As he says, my name is Talitha Washington, and I am the director of the Data Science Initiative here at the Atlanta University Center. So thank you first to Dr. Black and the session organizers for inviting me to speak today. It's great to be with everyone. And as you said, that you all can put questions in the chat, even as I talk along, because questions can come and go from our minds. In the chat, I put some links to our center for upcoming events. And I also put a link to our Facebook page. So come and stay connected with us. So just first, a little bit about me. I started off as an undergraduate at Spelman College, and I really didn't know I was going to go into mathematics. So there I am at the left. I flipped burgers in Lower Manly, for those of us who are familiar with the AUC. I also played in the marching band my first year. The fall semester of my junior year, I went to Mexico, studied abroad, took linear algebra and Provenance stats in the Spanish classes. So I was a Spanish minor, math major. By my junior year, when I came back, one of the professors, Dr. Amy, said, hey, why don't you come and do this program with me and do some research? So I said, okay. And I researched the stability of difference equations, which actually is still connected to my research area today, which looks at the development of non-standard finite difference schemes for dynamical systems. So I grew up, so to speak, in the Atlanta University Center at Spelman College. And I went off and did other things with my life. Went to the University of Connecticut for grad school, did a postdoc at Duke where I focused on mathematical biology. And then after Duke, I went to the College of New Rochelle, where I was a faculty member there. I went to the University of Evansville. That's actually back home in my hometown of Evansville, Indiana, where I earned tenure and promotion there. And then right after getting tenure, I turn around and go to Howard. I was sequestered, so to speak, and earned tenure there. I was obviously a tenured associate professor of mathematics at Howard. After Howard, I went to the National Science Foundation, where I became a program officer, and I was there for 3 years. And now I am a full professor of mathematics at Clark Atlanta, and I'm also the inaugural director of the Data Science Initiative. So I come into data science probably from a different way. I'm a mathematician. I enjoy looking at how mathematics interplays with other disciplines, other fields, and frankly, how do we gain insight by either leveraging math or in this case, leveraging data? How can we explain things better? And as he said, I was just named fellow of 2 societies. So I'm really enjoying the career and the path that we go on together, right? So I started this journey in data science actually through the digital humanities back in 2011. And, a faculty member said, hey, why don't you come do some text analytics? He's a cognitive scientist, psychologist. I said, okay. So that's how I actually entered into data science. And then I hosted StatFest at Howard University. StatFest is hosted by the American Statistical Association. It's every fall, every September. And I did some workshops with the education and social science researchers at Howard. I found myself then going out to Utah. I actually drove from DC. That was an interesting drive. So I went out to Utah for 3 weeks to participate in a workshop where we looked at the mathematics of data. So in that workshop, we talked about data science. What does this mean to actually have data science at the undergraduate level? And from that, we published one of the pivotal papers on how to position undergraduate data science programs. So the paper is called Curriculum Guidelines for Undergraduate Programs in Data Science. I also, my student there who I'm with, my doctoral student, Shayeda Kanye, after he graduated from Howard, he actually went on to JP Morgan to do machine learning for problems in cybersecurity. So a lot of my students actually will end up going into some data science related fields just because of the work that I do. So I've kind of been around the data science block, so to speak. And most recently I was at the National Science Foundation, where initially I was in the Division of Undergraduate Education. And so I ran the IUC program. So that IUC program for data science. So IUC is the Improving Undergraduate STEM Education. So I basically facilitated the review and the awarding of the data science proposals, which was a lot of fun because my panelists were from all different disciplines. I mean, I would have math, stat, even business, computer science, biology, psychology, you name it, whatever ology I had on that panel, because as we know, data science really hits multiple facets. I also at NSF, I was called, when we're called, we answer, to come and co-lead the Hispanic Serving Institutions program, which was a $40 million program that looked at STEM undergraduate education at Hispanic serving institutions. So across the country, there are about 523 HSIs, and HSIs actually they educate like 30% of 20% of African Americans in undergraduate education, and they're a highly diverse population. I really enjoyed working with that program. And for my work, I earned the highest honor at NSF, which is the Director's Award for Superior Accomplishment. Most recently, I was in the Convergence Accelerator as a program director. And in that unit, we looked at AI, artificial intelligence, the future of work. We also looked at data. And a part of this work in the Convergence Accelerator I really liked. First is convergent, meaning that you have multiple disciplines coming together to solve problems, which is, data science is built on that idea. And accelerator is, how do we accelerate the work of these projects so we can really address and solve some of these societal issues? So I enjoyed my time at NSF as a program director, and I then was tapped on the shoulder and was asked to come to Atlanta. It wasn't on my radar, but I said yes. So in August of 2020, I became the inaugural director of the Data Science Initiative. The model that really resonates with the work that we do, and basically the work on how I do it, is I'll find a way or make one. Sometimes we have spaces already given to us. Sometimes we have to create the spaces and bring others with us. So the Atlanta University Center is situated close to downtown Atlanta and works across 4 HBCUs: Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse College, Morehouse School of Medicine, and Spelman College. We're a consortium of primarily 9,000 students. Both Spelman and Morehouse are undergraduate, same-sex schools and they're liberal arts. Clark Atlanta University is an R2, research-intensive co-ed, and Morehouse School of Medicine is graduate only and research intensive. And so imagine, if you have like 1 or 2 bosses, I have like 10. So maybe I'm allowed to keep in line, I don't know. But it's really interesting and very unique to be able to leverage the strength of each of these 4 institutions to come together to figure out how can we really equip our students with data science, and also how can we push the boundaries of the research in data science to really better serve our communities, better serve the Black community. So on the right here is a picture of Julian Bond, who's a Morehouse graduate. He was the vice chair of SNCC, and he was 23 in the photo, so he would have been a recent graduate at that time. And so really in the AUC, our students have a long legacy of being active in movements, being active and providing that voice for those who are in underrepresented groups, in our case, for the African American community. So HBCUs, as we know, I probably am speaking to the choir, but it's good to remind us of the good work that we all do. So we built on, at least for me, my idea is to build on the strengths of the HBCUs, in that HBCUs graduate 24% of Black students with STEM degrees, even though we only enrolled 10% of all Black students. And so we do something, some people call it that secret sauce of how we position our students to be successful and to go on, become leaders and movers and shakers in the field. And HBCUs are the institution of origin of almost 30% of Black graduates in STEM doctoral programs. Now, our data science program at the Atlanta University Center isn't restricted to STEM, even though we build on to computer science, mathematics, but we are really grounded in social justice and how can we address that? And we engage with everybody across the disciplines in a collaborative fashion, which isn't always common, we'll say, in higher education. So our two goals are the following. The first one is to develop talent. So we want to be a significant producer of African Americans with expertise and credentials in data science. Our second goal is we want to create new knowledge. We want to help in leading efforts to address both race, gender, and social justice aspects of data science. And we do this through three mechanisms. One is through our curriculum, another is through research, and the third is through engagement. So on the curriculum side, we are busy at work creating a data science minor. That we expect this minor to begin in the fall of 2021. This minor will position our students to be able to obtain, process, analyze, and present complex data, including data related to the African diaspora. So we're very intentional with the development of our data science program, that it speaks to the mission of our institutions to position our students to really go and make change and contribute to the Black community. The way in which we're doing this, we have a AUC-wide team, so to speak, where we have 3 members from Clark Atlanta, 3 from Morehouse, 3 from Spelman. We're also engaging the Morehouse School of Medicine, even though they don't have an undergraduate program, and the library, because we're all players, we're all stakeholders in our AUC community. We've identified 6 learning outcomes for that we want at the programmatic level for data science minor. One is on mathematics and statistics, programming, modeling, data curation, ethics, and communication. So our minor team is, like I said, it's made up of faculty and staff from across the AUC, not from just one department, but from many, anywhere from decision sciences, computer science, biology, political science, e-learning technology, sociology. And that really has enriched the experience in how we think about data science, because as we know, data science, that data is grounded in some sort of context, and we need to be able to understand the context so that we actually can gain value from the data in an ethical way. Oop, I think I pressed the wrong button. Here we go. So our framework is the way we're setting it up. So everything's started and everything's under construction. So imagine, you know how it is when you sit in your faculty meetings trying to get faculty to agree on just one item. Well, now I'm trying to get faculty across 3 different institutions with 3 language sets to agree on one data science minor framework. And we're doing it. So it's a work in progress. So we envision that all students will take a first course, and the course is entitled Data in the African Diaspora. So in this course, the students would have an introductory experience to data science. They would gain data science thinking, and they'll also be able to interplay that with topics that impact Black America. Another set of courses that the students will take is in let's say a mathematics and statistics area. And then the students would take a computer programming course from a menu of courses. And then they would take 3 electives. These 3 electives could either be from an emphasis area or a track area, depending. Each institution is kind of whittling out the fine details, but this high level framework will be shared across the institutions. And then we'll kind of continue our discussions by having a AUC-wide data science education committee. So we're really excited about developing this and learning from each other along the way. So in the AUC, this semester, spring 2021, that's now, we are teaching courses that are culturally relevant in data science courses. So we are piloting out the Data in the African Diaspora course this spring, and at Spelman, it's taught in sociology, and at Clark Atlanta, it's taught in the School of Social Work. So it's not even in what one would think of as a typical data science home, but what does that really mean given the convergent nature of data science? So it's co-taught and co-developed by Dr. Volsi at Spelman, Dr. Lawrence at Clark Atlanta, and Dr. Pang at Morehouse. So it's a 3-credit hour class. Also, looking across the AUC, Professor Nathan Alexander at Morehouse, he's teaching basic statistics. And the way in which he's doing that is he's actually leveraging both historical and futuristic frameworks by incorporating the data studies that were commissioned by W.B. Du Bois at Atlanta University back in the 1890s. So W.B. Du Bois was basically a data visualization innovator, where he essentially talked about the story of Negroes here in the United States in a Paris exhibition. So if you haven't seen that, please look him up. It's really great. So in the Atlanta University Center, we are also positioning our faculty to help lead and explore different areas of data science. So we have developed these learning and research communities. So typically, these communities are either just teaching focused, but we really wanted to give faculty the option to either explore learning, which is teaching facing together, or research, which could lead to interdisciplinary research projects. And so we have 2 learning and research communities that will be coming this spring. One is looking at using R to conduct classroom performance and analytics in introductory and chemistry courses. And another one is looking at GitHub and open science framework for data science. And so we're really excited to hear about what these communities learn, and they'll be sharing their work within the Atlanta University Center and maybe even beyond. Last summer, we held a summer undergraduate research program where the students here in the AUC worked with faculty mentors, and they also received training in data science. The topics varied from looking at racial diversity in medical research, to data in the humanities, to food deserts, a systematic atrocity, to exploration of suicide rates using data science. These projects were student-led as far as their inquiry and culminated in a symposium towards the end of the summer. We're really looking forward to hosting this again. So with the Atlanta University Center Data Science Initiative, we engage regularly with other folks, so to speak. With industry, we've been talking with them to gain ideas about, how should we design our curriculum? What do you think is important? How do you think our students should be equipped when they graduate? Also, we're exploring the idea of guest lectures, and we're working with the industry to provide real-world applications that we can incorporate into our curriculum or research for our undergrads. And so we also engage regularly with faculty across the AUC and faculty at a national level, and also all the other data science institutes, which is super fun. So faculty really are leading the way of development of the pathways. My role is, how can I help? What can I do to equip you? Here's how I can connect the dots with you. And so faculty also leading research and launching new programs. The students, we are providing opportunities for them to engage in research training with the intent that they will go out and diversify the workforce. So one of the partnerships that we have most recently engaged with is with Coca-Cola and SAP. So they gave us some funding to pilot an AUC virtual computer lab. And so this lab will essentially provide, it's in a web browser, and it looks like let's say in this case, a Windows desktop. But we're envisioning that we'll be able to use this both for data science research and also for teaching. It's going to be hosted at the library and kind of span the entire AUC. And in the way in which we developed this partnership with Coca-Cola and SAP, essentially, initially, we just kind of hung out. What's important to us, we share that. What's important to Coca-Cola? What's important to SAP? And we found commonalities about how we can engage and really common interests and passions. So the other week, we had a demo with a company of Porto. I can share the information if anybody wants. And it wasn't just us looking at it, it was us along with Coca-Cola and SAP asking the questions, digging in deeper. So with these industry partnerships, it's not somebody on the outside who just wants to recruit our students, which does happen. But I find that the gem of a partnership, the platinum version of partnership, is really somebody who you can engage with and think through stuff together and create viable solutions. We also have graduate fellows that work with us in the Atlanta University Center, and they work on a multiple of topics. They work alongside the faculty, and these are graduate students both at Clark Atlanta University and Morehouse School of Medicine. So Shayla Snipes, she's a social work doctoral student at Clark Atlanta, and she's working with Dr. Gaucher at Morehouse on developing a sports analytic course on Coursera. You may have just seen that in the news recently, that Morehouse has a big campaign to have online instruction, and they're also engaging with Coursera. Lake Glover is also a social work doctoral student at Clark Atlanta, and she's working alongside Shayla with Dr. Gaucher. She's also looking at the influence of COVID on African-American communities. Cameron Randall is a graduate student in the Higher Education Leadership Program at Clark Atlanta, and he's working with faculty to create a data science and social justice graduate course. So this course will examine both the ethical and privacy concerns through different case studies. Amber Boyd is a mathematics master's student at Clark Atlanta. She's conducting research to develop a grant proposal so that we can secure funding to enhance our curriculum. So I love getting students involved in every kind of facet that we're doing. Joy Stinson is a public health master's student at Morehouse School of Medicine, and she's working hard at hosting a data science challenge. And this data science challenge, this is our first, and we're really pleased with Joy's participation. This challenge involves human and child trafficking. So the students will look at data as related to human and child trafficking, and we're hoping that they will provide some informative solutions or pathways forward to remedy this. So our data challenge will be coming up pretty soon, and just a little bit about what we're doing here. It's open to students here in the AUC, and we're doing it in collaboration with both Emory University and University of South Carolina. So for this data challenge, it resonates with our social justice theme for our initiative, in that the CBC recently, they put out a report. They said, according to the FBI, 57.5% of all juvenile prostitution arrests are Black children. 40% of sex trafficking victims were identified as Black women, 40%. So this is an issue that directly impacts our communities, and looking at child and sex trafficking as a community college, as a college student, and providing solutions, I think will provide some neat ways, some innovative ways where we can find viable solutions. The leadership of the data science initiative, it's maybe led by many, I don't know. So I have direct reports to all the provosts and the director of the library, and they're an amazing group to work with as far as they give gentle, sometimes strong nudges, and they also give gentle and very strong encouragements as far as what and how we are doing things. And the interim executive director of the Lane University Center Consortium is Dr. Michael Hodge. We also work alongside a faculty advisory board that's from across the AUC. I always, like to have the communication, people involved, because I can see things from one perspective, but I really need somebody to challenge and to shine lights on the blind spots so that we are operating a way that best serves our community. And of course, teamwork makes the dream work. So I have, I guess, a dream team for the data science initiative. So I'm the director, and Dr. Volsey is the deputy director, and he's also half-time at Spelman, where he is the director of the Innovation Lab. Bettina Gardner is the interim manager, makes everything work and go. Tommy Taylor is our communication specialist. Nora Patman works with us part-time as an executive assistant, and Tamala Fordson works with us part-time as executive assistant. So we share Nora and Tamala, but we include them on our team. And it's great to have, I just finally got a full staff of people, and we probably will be hiring as we grow. And our initiative, we're committed to advancing both data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and cybersecurity techniques that address ethics and bias with a focus on topics that impact Black America. So as we know, there's a lot of data science that's coming up across the HBCU landscape, which is really super exciting. So Bowie, I think they just announced that they have a certificate program that will be coming out, but they have data science and analytics initiative there that was funded by NSF that's integrating data science and analytics into undergraduate courses. They also have faculty learning communities. FAM, as you know, that's why we're here. They have a community of data science across 6 HBCUs and aim to engage the entire HBCU landscape. So I'm really excited to see and participate with this consortium. Fisk University is in Nashville, Tennessee. They are the first undergraduate data science program in the state of Tennessee. So they're really doing some interesting things with their data science major and minor. Howard University has a data science and cybersecurity center, and this center looks to solve problems related to both cyber, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, along with data science. North Carolina A&T and also Jackson State, they both have PhDs in data science. So that's really exciting. And then North Carolina Central just launched their information technology degree with a concentration in data analytics. So I'm really excited and I'm watching what other people are doing, how they're doing it. And it's exciting. There's so much work to be done. There's so much underrepresentation in the field. There's way too much bias and way too much negative impact on the Black community that it will take multiple efforts and with a sustained period of time to make the changes that are needed. I'm super excited. So Fisk University, like I said, it's in Nashville, Tennessee. They have it's a really interesting data science major map. You get the student, what am I going to do after I graduate? So this is the slide I usually say, here, this is what you can do. Well, at least a subset, proper subset. So after graduation, we're hoping maybe we can get students go to Google, Microsoft, Apple, you name it. What can I do with it? You name that too. They could be anywhere from a database administrator to software developer, data analyst, data scientist. Can a student continue studies? Yes, and data science degrees in higher ed and graduate programs, they vary in what they're called, right? We're still converging on the nomenclature. And they could also go and do research in the national labs. And so there's so many different industries that are needing employees, needing workers that have data science skills. If anybody is interested in coming down to the AUC, we have a data science and data science related opportunities. So we have 2 positions open at Clark Atlanta in the math department that both focus on data science. We have 2 at Clark Atlanta in the Department of Cyber Physical Systems, and they're looking for machine learning and cybersecurity folks. Morehouse School of Medicine is hiring a bioinformatician. They will be having a master's program in health informatics that will start this fall. They also have a data analytics and equity that is going to build a health equity tracker, which will be a public data and visualization platform. So they're hiring a director for that and also other positions to support that effort. So that's something, keep on the radar if you know anybody wants to look at some COVID data. Morehouse is hiring in sociology, specifying that they want somebody with expertise in data science. They just posted that there's a second position opening in their expansion learning division that's in data science. So Morehouse actually has 2 positions open. And Spelman College in the Department of Computer Information Systems, they have a assistant professor position. And in the mathematics, they're also hiring some main data science. So if you know anybody wants to come down to the AUC, tell them to come on down. So, sometimes we ask ourselves when life gets hard, why are we doing this? What are we doing, sort of thing? Well, this is just one of the examples of many that we could come up with, and I'm sure you all are following Timnit's tweets and things. So I won't get into that one today. But recently, in the 2016 presidential election, there was this thing that happened. It was voter suppression. So the Trump campaign essentially used machine learning, big data techniques to suppress the Black vote, to deter Blacks from voting. So this was a targeted effort to look at specific people, scrape through their social media accounts, and then blast them with advertisements, disinformation, and misleading messages so they would not vote. So the way in which people use data science could be for serious harm and could have a huge impact. In this case, the voters that were marked for deterrence, 25% were Black, even though they only made up 13% of voters. So Blacks were overly targeted to make them not vote. So we can almost think of this as the modern day, maybe Jim Crow, or not letting us get to the polls, where, back in the day we had poll tax and then we had other things, we'll say, and now we have data science that could do this. So this is something that resonates in particular as we go through these difficult times in politics. And we want to make sure that we equip our students, that we push the data science fields to address these issues and to really call it into question. And as we know, HBCUs, we have a rich tradition of sending folks to really be those leaders. And, you know, most recently, we send up to DC a Morehouse man, my Spelman sister, and my Howard sister there to really make the changes that are needed. Next Friday, we're going to have a presentation Friday, February 26th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to be talking about data and the Black vote. We're going to be talking about how do people construct districts to either empower or disempower certain groups, and other topics that resonate with, you know, Black folks voting and data. So we'll be joined with a fantastic panel. Robert Patillo, he's the executive director at Rainbow Push in the Atlanta, and he's also a Clark Atlanta University alum. Karen Sachs, she's the director of the governmental relations at American Math Society, and Ron Wasserstein is the executive director of the American Statistical Association. So we're gonna host this, and you can join us every second and fourth Friday at 12 p.m. noon, where we have a seminar series. We'll have more coming out through the semester. And we really hope to have those discussions needed to really push those data science envelopes and get interesting people to the table that can help us envision and think of things in different ways. If you miss it, no worries. It will be posted for viewing on our YouTube page. So the Atlanta University Center Data Science Initiative really is grounded on developing data science, both education and research, so we can address and move on social justice topics that have direct impact on our students, on our faculty, on our communities. And so it's been a joy, it's been an honor to lead this initiative with the faculty, with the administration across the AUC. And it's also been super fun engaging with the other institutes and other people at HBCUs who are leading similar initiatives. So with that, I will take any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Washington. Are there any questions for our speaker?
No questions, I believe, as of now. Okay, a couple of questions just came in, and one says, will your data science program have a virtual component?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our speaker series is virtual. And so that's it's going to be on Zoom. And also if you can connect with us on our Facebook program. So that part is virtual. So I'm not sure if you're talking about courses or workshops or what have you. We're busy developing targeted workshops around data science and social justice. So that will be forthcoming. But right now, what's virtual is our seminar series. And that's also hosted, past series are hosted on our YouTube page. So even if you don't make it, you can catch us on the YouTube there. But you know, it's COVID, so we're totally virtual with everything that we do at this point. So that's just how we go, right?
And a follow-up to that question, she says, more specifically, will it be the undergraduate degree?
That's a good question. So I think maybe you're asking that because Morehouse now is going to be offering, I think, 3 online degrees in this fall. It's not clear whether or not any of those degrees will be data science, but we are looking at developing online courses and offerings, but not yet. not yet. We're going to get there. If you have an idea, please, reach out. I'd love to have a conversation about it.
Okay. Next question says, how are the AUC business schools or programs engaging with your initiative?
That's a great question. So they're on the, so we have people from the business schools and programs on a lot of our teams. So on our data science minor team, we have people from business, a member from Clark Atlanta, and also one from Morehouse. Spelman doesn't have a business degree program, so it's housed in economics. They have an innovation center, but so they're actively involved. Right now, our focus is to build the minor, get that foundation laid, and then from there, we will spawn off and develop other programs, and we'll venture into the business analytics or other degree programs, so to speak. So yes, the business folks are doing it, but the way in which we're doing it, we're not doing this in silos. That's, I don't know, to me, that's not fun. I'm an applied mathematician. I like to play with other people, right? And I love all things data, and I love data science. And so it's not to develop a program that just sits in a school of business silo, right? It really is, how can we think about data science and leverage what people are thinking about across these silos, across the disciplinary boundaries. And I think that, at least for me, that grounding came from my work in the Convergence Accelerator, where I could see how these interdisciplinary teams were working together to bring, for example, solutions in quantum technology. That is just not the quantum scientist. It's really, if you're trying to create some sort of interface, it's the quantum scientist, of course, but then there's also that user, there's a sociology aspect, there's also these other aspects that can really add value. So we're not doing this in silos. We're doing this as a collective, as a whole, which is not common. So I have to do some pitching and repitchings often with the provost I work with. But it's just, I find it to be very rewarding. And the meetings, for some reason, they like them. And that's like a contradiction of terms, so to speak. But we like actually talking with each other and pushing each other to think in different ways. But the business schools, yeah, they're right there at the table.
Next question is, how are you sourcing project data for African American specific projects? Have you considered working with local government to make changes?
Yes, so we are working on that to pull together a data repository. So that is a work in progress, and I'll be actually working on that with my HBCU partners. So I won't say too much about that, but yes, that is a work in progress.
Next question is the course description data in African diaspora publicly available?
I'm not sure if it's publicly available. I don't think the syllabus is online. So the way in which we're doing it, we're piloting it this spring, and then we're going to, put it through course approval at 3 institutions. This will be interesting. But it's not online, but I just tell you a little bit about the course, and that it's a course that's in modular format. So they're kind of, you can think of them as building blocks, but building blocks with intentionality to develop the students' data science thinking. So in each of those blocks, there's like a data set. There's a descriptor about how does this impact the African-American experience? So there's a intentional social science aspect in there, and then what the students will do. And so we're still building it out, but more information will soon come about that course. So we'll be sharing that moving forward. Yeah.
Next question. She says, it seems that data science minor requires 6 courses. How many of those courses can also satisfy the requirements for computer science majors?
That's a good question. Now, notice that there were stars everywhere in that slide, and that star went to under construction, because you don't know until it's done, right? We don't know. And I mean, we have we're going to have 3 data science minor proposals at 3 different institutions. So it's not, I would say curriculum committees are like pasta presses. You don't know what's going to come out on the other side. So it It could be. So for example, I'll give you an example. At Georgia Tech, they have one of their minor programs where it's between business and computer science. So if you're a business student, you take one slate of classes that are more computer science looking. If you're a computer science student, you take more business courses that are business looking. And so they've actually married the two, so to speak, in an interesting way, depending on how you come in. So some of those details are being worked out as far as what courses can duplicate, what would computer scientists do. And I think we all know that even if you're a computer scientist student, there's a huge social aspect in data science that we are looking at. And so it's not just the technical stuff that the student needs to know. They need to know, they need to be able to sit back, look at the data set and ask questions and inquire before they can just go and plug and play and code away sort of thing. So it's not just coding is the only skill in data science. That could be a part of it. But there's also if I give you this data set, are you going to be able to ask the right questions, go in the right way? Do you know what the limitations are, or what can you suggest and what you cannot suggest, or how it could do harm or how it could do good? And if the data, we're assuming the data is grounded in this case, some sort of social science aspect, or it has some sort of context around it, the student also needs to be able to engage and articulate the interplay between the data point and the context in which it lives. Articulate that either in an oral presentation or in writing. And we really went back and forth when we were talking about the minor, that communication is key, that the students really need to be able to communicate their findings, what they find of value in these data sets, to different stakeholder groups. I don't think that happens all the time in computer science. So when we think about how do we equip a data scientist with these skills, with this intellectual wheelhouse, so to speak, in a field that's ever changing, we are agile, we are malleable in how we do it, but we need to think beyond just, you need to know the statistics, you need to know the computer programming. Those are important. We also need these other skills as well, so that we don't propagate some of these biases that we are seeing in data science because we don't understand the context in which the data lives.
Next question says, are you engaging with the CDC in any way?
Yes, I've talked with the CDC. Yes, we haven't formed a partnership yet, but yes, we are talking with the CDC. They're, right in our corner. And as we know, CDC was built in Atlanta because, that's where malaria was rampant at one time in our country. And so, yes, definitely.
Okay, we have time for one more question, if there are any more.
Yeah, one question just came in, and
someone asked what kind of courses in computer science and math are needed.
Yeah.
Did I answer that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying? Oh, there it is. So yeah, so the courses in computer science and math that are needed. So for computer science, I think, right, opinion here, that every student would need a course in programming. Do they need to know C++? Maybe not C++, but I think they need to have a programming language, at least one. It could be R, it could be Python, it could be C++. It needs to be something. And then it's sort of, what sort of mathematics is needed? In data science, there's a lot of statistical thinking. They at least need to have something in statistics. That's why we had programming. That's why we have statistics as blocks there. But we also need a course to engage the students to develop their data science thinking. So, because we don't want robots. We want thinking people interacting with data and coming up with viable solutions. So there needs to be some sort of course that encourages students to get their hands in a project-oriented, active learning way to dig into the data, to articulate what it says, and to be able to extract value from the data. So I think those, in my opinion, are the fundamental courses in data science. But then the question is, where do you want, let's say, the student to go later? If you want them to go to graduate school in data science, Then we're going to get into multivariate calculus. We'll get into linear algebra. Everybody loves linear algebra, and you probably need more programming. So if you're looking for graduate programs, but if you're looking for jobs that are going to employ your data science skills, so that you're informed on how to use this in the workplace, you may not need those. So it really depends on, where does the student want to go? What do they want to do? And I impress on them all the time. edX and Coursera are your friends. Geek it up on Coursera, geek it up on edX, dive into those courses to build up programming or build up your expertise, because this stuff is changing so fast that us in higher ed, we're working hard to keep up with it, but it can be a challenge. And so I always impress on my students that what you learn in the classroom is a piece of what you should know, right? Or what you may need to know. But there's another piece that you're going to have to just do it on your own if you want to have that extra edge, if you really want to have that extra boost.
So Dr. Washington, we thank you so much for your time today. That was extremely informative talk. I know there may be a lot more questions that people have. So if you don't mind, Dr. Washington, if you could drop your email in the chat.
Oh, okay.
And maybe people can reach out and ask you those questions they didn't get a chance to ask. But again, let's give her a hand. I know you all are all on virtual cameras, but you can clap or throw the clap emoji up or something to let her know we appreciate that session. It was definitely great. We look forward to working with you as a consortium with your group and doing our job to help you in any way that we can as well. So thank you once again, and we appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. And yes, one question real quick was, is there any way you could make these slides available to us so we can get them, or is that on?
I'll try people to notes.
That's right.
I typically,
notes, right?
Yeah. So I'm bad, right? I'm that horrible being teacher. So yeah. So hopefully people take notes so they can see what we did. We do if you check out our YouTube page, I gave a and there's a couple of presentations I gave, and if you want a link, I can send you those links as well.
That's good.
But we're ever evolving and ever changing. So, but hopefully people take notes and you got something of value. Feel free to reach out, see what we're doing. Please come and enjoy and engage with us in our seminars. So hopefully we'll see you Friday at 12.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, everyone. So we're going to move to our next session, which is the breakout session. So I'm going to post a link in the chat for that. And incidentally, this link will be our link or our session for the remainder of today. So once you move to this Zoom session, we will stay here. So you don't have to disconnect and switch back off. But you can also access this through the Hoover app as well. So you can move on over to that, and I will join you there in just a second with further instructions.